Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Experience Kills. Today, this episode is being led by me, Ben, but I am joined by a man of lethal cunning and intent. His name is Rob.
Well, hello, that is quite an introduction. One that I was not expecting, I must say.
I don't know where it came from. I think it might have been a quote or something that I just pulled completely out of thin air, but it works. I thought it was good. It was a good introduction. I've been looking at a really good solid brawler, like really well done. Yeah, it's the 9 Monkeys of Shaolin, which isn't the best name for a video game because I kept getting it wrong all week when I was telling you about it. I honestly kept putting the Shaolin and the Monkeys the other way around and the 9 at the end or the beginning, and I really couldn't remember the name of the title of this game until literally having it in front of me right now. But don't let that fool you. It's been brought to us by Buka Entertainment and Sobaka Studios, and it rang a bell for me who those guys were when I started looking into their website here to get the details. And basically, these are the guys that did Redeemer, which I looked at quite a while ago now. The Enhanced Edition came out on Xbox, and that was this, again, like a brawler, but that was more of a 3D brawler in which you were this big hulking brute of a man going around hitting people with big melee weapons, and it was actually kind of quite slow paced, had some range combat in there as well, but was also very well made with really good 3D models and animation. And that's something that's been brought into this particular game as well, because in this one we have sort of a wushu set, Chinese themed, Chinese sort of set, kind of like kung fu action brawler, in which you play as the wronged fisherman, his family murdered in front of him, and you get taken in by the Shaolin monks and taught their ways of combat to avenge the deaths of your family. It's rote, it's completely cliched, but it works perfectly for a brawler type game because you don't need complex nuanced setup for something like this. You need clear objectives and reasons for you to beat up 1,000 million guys, which is what you do in this game.
Yes, not every game needs some deep, meaningful, story-driven reason to be pursuing the game. Sometimes you just need a reason to play the damn game.
Yeah, and it does that, and it's got some really nice animated cutscenes that frame things for you as well, but it's also got some decent dialogue and voice acting between the missions and in the kind of the hub that you get set up with fairly early in the game. But what really drew me into this is, first of all, the basic brawler combat is nuanced, interesting and varied, which, to be honest, when I first looked at some video of this game, I wasn't really expecting that. I thought this was going to be a very simple button mashy type experience, but actually a lot of thought needs to go into your combat encounters, because you've got slash attacks, you've got heavy attacks, you've got kicks, and you've got dodges and parries going on. So there's a lot of stuff, and the different enemies you face and the different enemy types will require you to kind of combine those elements in different ways so that you don't get completely annihilated. And the game is quite challenging, so you have to stay on your toes and really look at which enemies are coming at you. But the good thing is, because we have these really nicely 3D modeled Unreal Engine enemies and character models, that's easy to do. You can really see very clearly the types of enemies that you are pursuing, even though you're doing this thing in a kind of a more conventional 2D left to right traversal brawler setting. So it actually all combines into a very nice visually looking game here with a really pretty art style that really conveys that sort of Chinese mythology and setting and vibe. And I really, it did a lot for me. I thought visually I was really drawn into this, and then the combat kept me there.
Now, you've shown me some footage of this game. It does look very fun, I must say. A graphical feature that they've got in there that I really, really like is that at the end of a fight with a bunch of goons or a bunch of enemies, the last one that you take down or kill, I don't know how lethal you're intending to be in this game, it kind of explodes in a burst of, I assume, some sort of chi or something like that. And I think that's just a wonderful, lovely touch. I don't think I'd get bored of seeing that explode out every time. Yeah,
it does an explosion, but also slows everything down, so you get a real sense of impact with that final hit. And yeah, chi actually becomes a big part of the game. So as you unlock and go through the game, you're actually leveling up, and you also got sort of progression gated mechanics that get brought in as well. So chi is one of them, which can augment your various attacks to leave more powerful impacts and do more damage and stuff. But beyond that, you're leveling up I think I saw 6 different trees basically, but you get loads of level points and you can replay missions as well to grind those out, which is really good because you're going to get up to missions which are too hard for you, which you need to go back a little bit and do some grinding and maybe do some side missions before you can tackle those new story missions, because they are that much more challenging, which again, more depth than I was expecting, more variety than I was expecting in this game, which was really rewarding. Back to the chi though, that's a mechanic that becomes that you have to very carefully manage, but you can also generate it very easily just by usually attacking with your normal attack. So I never felt short of it. It wasn't one of those mechanics where I was holding it to the boss fight because I knew if I didn't I was going to get beaten. I was constantly using it, and it just adds another layer of depth to the combat. So you're peppering it in with your normal heavy and medium and quick attacks, but then you're doing a special one, and then you're doing a few more, then you're doing another one. So it just ends up making it have this real sense of kinetic ballet of just kung fu wushu action, which is exactly what you want in a game like this. You know, you want it to look spectacular, to feel tight, to you know, really connect with you in all those important visceral ways, and it certainly does it. Yeah, it's really cool and surprising. I shouldn't be surprised though, because I think this way about Redeemer as well, and it was like, wow, that game kind of came out of nowhere. These guys nailed this, and both the publisher here and the developer are both from Russia, so it's kind of cool to play these games from that territory, which you don't get a huge amount of, especially ones focused on kind of Chinese mythology. So it's this really interesting combination of factors here, which has led to a very compelling gaming experience, which would normally be sort of a bit more simplistic, or maybe just feel a bit like it's cashed in. Like, you know, there was recently a new Double Dragon game, and it's really good, but I would play this over that, even though that's a franchise with a storied past, with a lot of connection and stuff to it. This actually felt better to me than that game did. That's got some really great 2D sprites, don't get me wrong, but this game feels more accessible and yet sort of deeper than that game did, and it feels more modern and definitely more exciting and interesting. Like, it's gonna get ignored, it's gonna get missed, but I think it sits right up there at the top of this genre, which is a genre we don't have a lot of entries in anymore, and I think it's a really cool experience coming in here right at the end of the generation.
You know, the kinetic kung fu ballet, I think that is a wonderful, succinct description of this game. From the footage you've showed of me, it looks really cool as well. I do like that it's all in 3D as opposed to pure side scroll, because it gives that depth, more maneuverability and that sort of thing. Is there a large variety of weaponry in the game, or is it you focusing mainly on your staff?
So you only have the staff weapon, but one of the ways that there is different variety and depth to this is there is kind of a loadout customization that happens. So you will go and do side missions, which will give you either like a necklace, shoes, or a different type of staff, and all of those things will have different buffs and different effects on your character. For example, you might have a staff that generates chi quicker, or that helps you with health regeneration, or that does more basic damage, or, you know, lots of different varieties. And the same for the shoes, and the same for the beads around the neck as well. So there's just another layer there. In addition, there is a co-op mode, which you can play the game in co-op. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play that out, obviously, because I'm solo here right now, but if we get a chance, Rob, one of these days, you'll pop round and we can play it in co-op, and you know, brawlers in co-op are inherently more fun, because it's just one of those games types that works really well with a friend to like smash through the enemies, and you know, you can manage them a bit easier, can't you, the more challenging stuff. And yeah, in addition to talking about the challenging enemies, I just remembered there are boss fights you know, that are story related, so you do get these more powerful enemies, and I had a few of those, they've all got quite interesting, unique mechanics and attack patterns and stuff. So it's not just fodder enemies, that you do get that as well. And then in addition to the kind of normal human enemies, you get some mystical stuff. I don't want to spoil it too much, but they go into the kind of mystical elements as well of this type of setting. So it all kind of goes into this really interesting melting pot, which means every mission you do gives you quite a lot of variety, and just the fact that they're so well lit. Like, you've got these really beautiful looking, I remember doing one mission that was in the dark with the rain coming down, and it's lit through that, and it looks brilliant in this engine. It really looks incredible, and I think by making you traverse through the levels in a linear 2D fashion, they can therefore make them look incredible, because they can focus the resources, because they know exactly where the player's going to be at all times. So therefore you can make and light and, you know, structure those levels to look absolutely brilliant, and of course funnel the enemies into the player in a way that can be balanced and challenging and fun and exciting and really good looking all at the same time. And it just comes together really, really nicely. I mean, it's not super easy, it's not super hard. I always felt challenged, but it always felt rewarding. I didn't feel like progress was too hard to achieve, so it just balances all the elements incredibly well. Like a really satisfying experience. I do recommend it very highly. But no, that's the, God, I'm going to have to look it up again. The 9 Monkeys of Shaolin, because it is the worst thing about this game is the title. Like, I don't know if that's a translation from like Russia or whatnot, and I really don't know, because the 9 Monkeys of Shaolin is just, you like that? Why do you like that?
It sounds like a classic kung fu movie. It sounds like Jackie Chan should be like leading the charge, going through hordes of pirates. Yeah, it sounds like a film. It sounds absolutely amazing.
So that's 9 Monkeys of Shaolin by Sobaka Studios and Buka Entertainment, who are now going to be firmly on my radar for whatever the next project is that they're doing, because that's 2 in a row for me that I've really enjoyed and been surprised by. So yeah, go and check their stuff out. I would definitely recommend checking out this game if you're in the mood for some co-op action, if you're in the mood for, you know, a nice linear brawler experience with way more depth than I was expecting, you know, good combat variety, really good like leveling systems, and a decent story too. Really worth checking out. So until next time, that's been another episode of Experience Kills. I've been your host, Ben. You can find me at DIYE on Twitter. Rob can be found at Homeless Mr. Gibbs. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a like and subscribe. We're approaching a massive milestone right now. It'd be great if you could help us get there. In addition to that, you can check out these incredible videos also in audio form on pretty much any platform a podcast can be found, be it iTunes, Spotify, Acast, what are all the other things, TuneIn. Oh god, it's too many, I can't even tell you all of them. So yeah, check it out there as well, and while you're at it, head over to experiencekills.co.uk. So Rob, do you have anything to add here as we kick a few enemies in the face?
I think I need to go and download the 9 Monkeys of Shaolin and see, I got that title right, and play some good old kung fu ballet action.
I thought it was Monkeys 9 Shaolin, or wasn't it Shaolin 9 Monkeys?
Oh, for the love of...
Shaolin Monkeys 9? That sounds like a 70s action movie, doesn't it? Shaolin Monkeys 9. Yeah.
9 Monkeys of Shaolin, ladies and gentlemen. 9 Monkeys of Shaolin.
Bye.